Hi everyone, check out the new cargo box I have on top of my 2001 GMC Yukon adventure mobile. I bought this cargo box a couple of weeks ago off of Facebook Marketplace, I believe. I got it used, it was $200. This is the Thule Summit. I don't know if this is a model that they still make or if this is an older model that they have stopped making. It is a long, skinny cargo box, which is exactly what I wanted because I have a kayak that I sometimes put up here and I just wanted the option to be able to put other things on top of the car here if I wanted to. It took me a while to find a cargo box that I liked, that fit my requirements. Basically, I wanted it to take up only half of the width of the top, and I've talked about that. But I also wanted the top of the cargo box to be relatively flat so that I could mount a solar panel to the top of it. That is the setup that I've had on my RAV4 for the last 3 years, I guess. I've driven with the solar panel on top of the cargo box of that RAV4 for probably 50 or 60,000 miles, I would guess. It's been rock solid. I've had zero problems with it, and it's been a really great setup for me, so I wanted to recreate that with this adventure mobile. And this is the solar panel in question I will be adding to the cargo box. This is a Renogy 100 watt compact solar panel. I got an email a few months ago from Renogy saying that they had seen my videos and that they wanted to supply me with free stuff to include in my videos. I didn't have the need for anything from them at that time, but then after I bought the Yukon here, I thought, oh, yeah, actually I would like a solar panel to put on top of the car. So I emailed them back and they agreed to send me this solar panel for free. So I have to disclaim that they did give this to me for free. But the solar panel that I have on the RAV4 is also a Renogy, and I bought that with my own money. They didn't give that to me. I bought that several years ago. They happened to give this one to me for free, but even if they hadn't, I would have spent the $100 on this solar panel. And when you flip the solar panel over, there are some holes in the corners here, and that's what I'm going to be using to mount these brackets. These are just little aluminum Z brackets. I have one unmounted right here. Very simple. These were $10 on Amazon. I already have these 3 installed. I did that before coming out here, but let me show you this fourth one that I'm installing on camera here. As far as this hardware goes, I'm using a mixture of what came with these and then also some stuff that I got from Home Depot. So I've got the screw here with a washer on it, putting it up through there. And I'm adding a little lock washer to the screw, screwing that down just by hand most of the way. And then, where are my wrenches here? Alright, and that's it as far as installing these brackets go. So now I have these in all 4 corners. Let's do a test fit, a dry run on top of the cargo box here. Fits pretty well. The issue, and I knew this coming into this, is that it's not completely flat right here. There's a little bit of a gap because the top of the cargo box slopes a little bit. On my other cargo box, it's completely flat, which made things a lot easier. So what I think I'm gonna do is I have a bunch of washers. I have both metal washers and these, I think these are neoprene washers or rubber washers. I have a bunch of those. I'm gonna use those to play around with lifting this up so the force is distributed a little bit more evenly, so it's not just on this one point along this edge right here. And also I'm going to be using 1/4 inch hardware. This is 1/4 inch. And this, I think this is metric. It's slightly smaller than 1/4 inch, so I'm going to ream out the hole a little bit, make it a little bit bigger. So these brackets are just aluminum, so it's pretty soft metal, shouldn't be too hard. Yeah, that's all it took. And now that hardware will fit in just fine. Okay, let's do the nerve-wracking bit. Line this up. And I'm gonna drill a hole through the cargo box. And the deed is done. Okay, so we've got the hole. I'm gonna turn the camera off and then I'm going to do a few different test configurations with different combinations of the washers and everything to see what I want best. Then I'll show you what I come up with. And so about 15 minutes later, we successfully have a solar panel mounted on top of a cargo box. I'm glad that the struts in this one, these things, are strong enough to hold it open with the solar panel on top. That is not the case with my other solar panel and cargo box, so that's nice. So I've attached each of the 4 corners now. The back 2 are the same, and then the front 2 are the same. So I've got the screw and a washer, and then underneath on the bottom side, there's another washer, a metal washer, and then 3 of those neoprene washers. And altogether, those keep the bracket off of the plastic of the cargo box. I also wanted the neoprene washers so that they would help prevent water from getting in, and I think this will do the trick. I used neoprene washers on the other one, and I've never had any issue with water getting in through the holes. And then on the bottom here, I have just a lock washer and then a wing nut. So I can kind of hand tighten these periodically. So it's like that. Where's the other one? There it is. And all 4 corners. And for the front ones here, same kind of deal, but there are 2 neoprene washers under the steel washer instead of 3, just because this is a more level surface. It doesn't have quite the slope that the back does, so I didn't need that third neoprene washer. And so that now brings us to the next step. Step 1 was to, I guess, find the cargo box and put it on top of the car. Step 2 was to mount the solar panel on top of the cargo box, which we have now done. Step 3 is to figure out how to route the solar cables through and into the car, and I think I know how to do it. And I'll be doing it differently than how I've done it on the RAV4. So on the RAV4, I have it snaking in through the side window here. Basically, the window is cracked a little bit. It's cracked like a 1/4 inch, and that's enough for the cable to go through there. And then I have a window deflector thing over that window, and that helps keep water from getting in through the open window. I'll put some footage of that here so you can see what I'm talking about. But this one will be a little bit different, and I think a little bit easier, to be honest, knock on wood. But let me show you what I'm thinking here. So I positioned the solar panel with the cables, which you can see right here, coming off the back end. And so the cables are coming out this way, and I'm going to route them through, basically through this, and then come down. So with it open here, you can see it better. So on the inside, I think I'll just have it kind of go through this corner and then run down alongside this channel here. And then up either through the bottom, or this weather sealing stuff kind of comes off. Maybe I can snake the cable up through there. And then from there, it'll go over to the jackery, which is right there. Got my MC4 cables here. I think these are 10 or 15 feet long. I don't remember which these are. I bought a couple sets of different lengths. I think these are the 15-foot versions. Let's first hook up one end of each of these cables to these cables right here coming off of the Renogy solar panel. So I'm going to hook the red positive into the red cable here. Just clips into place like that. Same thing for the negative. That click. Okay, and then bring them over along the side here. And put them down like that. And then this is kind of hard to do one-handed here. And that brings us to this point where I think we can, here, let me get all this untangled for a sec. Okay, kind of untangled everything. So again, this is gonna go around there. And now yeah, I think I'll put them through that. Can I stick this back on? Let's see here. Let me play around with this a little bit, see what kind of solution I can come up with. Give me a sec. Okay, I think this actually might work. So again, coming in from the top, goes along side this part, goes underneath, and then comes out from this little gap that I put in this weather sealing stuff here. And to keep it in place, I used a couple of zip ties. So there's one zip tie holding the cables up to there's like a screw or a bolt that goes through here. So the zip tie goes around the bolt and then around these to keep them in place. And then I put a second zip tie to keep the weather sealing strip stuff attached. So there's a little bit of a gap here, but I don't think that'll be a big deal at all. So I've run the cables alongside the platform here to come out on the other side next to the power station. So this is the other end of the cables. So now the last piece of the puzzle is to connect these to the Jackery. So the Jackery input is right here. This is the Jackery Explorer 1000, and this is an 8mm input. And so I just happen to have this. So this connector cable goes from MC4, which is the standard solar panel connector, to 8mm. Red to red. A little bit of a tight fit. I think that should work okay. And then black to black. That's an even tighter fit. Okay, there we go. So now, let's plug it in, see if it'll work. So it'll be working if this little light turns on and if the screen turns on. Yes. There we go. It's working. The system is working. It's pulling in 50 watts, about 50 watts right now. Now the solar panel is a 100 watt solar panel, but you always lose a little bit through all the cables and everything, and it is a overcast day today, so even under perfect circumstances you wouldn't get 100 watts. But I'm really happy with 54. It works, guys. That is awesome. So this will be here. The fridge would normally be here, but the fridge is currently out. There's one more thing I want to do, I think, and that is secure these cables a little bit better. You see these couple of holes right in here? I'm going to use some zip ties or a zip tie to go through those holes and hold these cables up a little bit more so they're not rattling on top of the cargo box here. And here's the finished product with that white cable tie holding the cables up. I did one other little change here. I added this big zip tie onto the right side of the roof rail up there. And that essentially just holds the cables to the far right. Before, the solar cables were coming in kind of at an angle through here, but there's a natural little gap between the door and the car in this corner here, and I thought that would be a good place to route the cables. So that's what I've done. Keeps the cables over on the right side. And I think that's it. I think that'll be it for this version of the build here. And before I forget, I wanted to mention that all of the cables and of course the solar panel itself and everything else that I used for this exact setup, I'll put links to all of those things in the video description if you want to just buy these exact pieces that I used. And this video is actually going to continue because I'm about to leave on a 2-week long, couple 1,000-mile long trip. And so I'm actually going to report back and tell you after a trip like that how this setup worked, what things I liked, what I didn't like, what I needed to change, what was good with it, and my overall thoughts on the entire setup here. So I will transfer to that footage right now. Okay, it's about 2.5 weeks-ish later, I think. I just got back from the trip yesterday, the trip that I mentioned in the previous part of this video. It was a 4,076-mile long trip, so plenty of time, plenty of miles to put the whole system to the test and see if there are any weaknesses. And basically everything worked great. I mean, there were no issues. The solar panel worked great. The hardware attaching the solar panel to the cargo box worked great. The cables going from the solar panel to the jackery worked great. The routing of the cables through the back door worked great. There were no issues. Everything just worked fine. Everything worked the way that you would hope it would work. So I don't really have anything to add other than that, yeah, it worked. So I hope this video is helpful. Thanks for watching. Again, I'm going to put links to everything listed in the video description, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Be sure to check out Adventure Know-How, my new site, where you can gain access to a map of all of my free campsites, plus monthly bonus videos that you won't find anywhere else. Learn more at adventureknowhow.com. And for links to everything else SUV RVing related, visit suvrving.com. Links to these sites and more will be in the video description.